Wow, well, what a storm that was, huh? Holy smokes. You know, we love to take a deep look at the present, and one way to do that sometimes is through the eyes of the past. As the great French writer said back in 1849, the more things change, the more they stay the same. I'm Pat Doris. Welcome to The Story. You might be one of the tens of thousands of people still angry and frustrated tonight about sitting for hours on the freeways as the snow fell heavier and heavier on Wednesday. We're going to take a look at what happened and what did not, and why. And we're also going to take a look at what could happen next time to make things a little bit better. Ready to go? Let's do it. As the snow began to fall Wednesday, word was slow to spread that this would be more than the dusting many of us expected. Around 4 o'clock, I headed toward home from downtown and ran into gridlock as I tried to enter Highway 405 and cross the river on the Fremont Bridge. All around the region, others were finally realizing the storm was serious and began to jam the freeways heading home. I didn't see a sanding truck or salt truck or de-icer anywhere around. And with so many of us trying to squeeze onto snowy roads, it didn't take long to wonder how emergency rigs like ambulances were doing. That one crept past everyone, likely on its way to Emmanuel or Randall Children's Hospital on the other side of the bridge. Eventually, we started to move, but look at all the slush on the pavement. Where were the plows? And look up at the top deck of the Fremont. It's gridlock up there too. So why did this happen? Why were there no plows or sanders or de-icer trucks out in front of this storm? Portland City Commissioner Mingus Mapps blamed the forecast and gridlock.
As late as 2:30 Wednesday afternoon, we were in communications with the Weather Center. They were telling us, maybe expect half an inch or something. And then I think about 2:30, a little bit after that, that's when we got the call saying if this weather system stays the way it is, we could see up to 8 inches, and which is literally the perfect storm. So it's Wednesday. You got lots of people actually going into the offices on Wednesday. Literally zero notification about this, and then it's rush hour, and so PBOT did an amazing job of being ready to go, but frankly we sit our trucks out there at exactly the time that when everyone else was hitting the road, so a lot of our plows were frankly stuck in traffic too.
Ugh. Mapp said the storm taught him that next time he should send city workers home sooner and then spread the word to businesses to do the same. Okay. But I wonder over time if city leaders really have learned anything. Remember the storm of 2016? It also hit on a Wednesday and also snarled traffic. It trapped drivers on 26 and stranded school buses. And guess what? City leaders back then thought they did a pretty good job. Here's a clip with the mayor at the time and Laurel Porter from 2016.
I hadn't heard that concern, so I'm a little surprised to hear that. Again, I think the city did a good job in responding to this event. It was a 2-inch snowstorm, so
but it caused a lot of problems.
Some people in other parts of the country might be amused that we consider this a snowpocalypse.
Not a lot of concern back then. The next year was not much better. Portland got walloped by a storm in 2017. 6.5 inches of snow fell. Ted Wheeler was the mayor of Portland then and admitted things did not go so well.
Too many roads have been closed, schools have been closed for too long, businesses have lost a lot of economic opportunity, and people have been exposed to the elements in this community who should not have been exposed to the elements.
Wheeler back then in 2017 said things would get better.
This last 2.5 weeks has been a very humbling experience, but let's learn from it. Let's pick up from it, let's have the hard conversations. Let's evaluate how we did and not be defensive about it. And if there's things we can improve, let's improve.
Well, it didn't really seem like it improved very much as far as I can tell. This is an ice storm that hit Portland in 2019. Some streets got salt, many in the city did not. A Portland transportation spokesman said, yeah, it went pretty well.
We would never give ourselves an A and never give ourselves 100% because we're always learning from every event. But given the routes that we've mapped, given the level of service and the resources that the city dedicates to these events, the routes that we treated were clear.
But a whole bunch of other routes were not treated and were not clear, and it was a mess. In 2021, the city got hammered again with 10 inches of snow. You see a pattern here? Yes, there were all kinds of problems again. And here we are tonight, where you probably have frozen snow and ice outside your house on the sidewalk or the street. Now, I will give them a bit of a break. The city is not wrong when they say the forecast quickly changed. It really did. Our team was stumped as well. Chief Meteorologist Matt Zafino has been forecasting weather here in Portland for 35 years. He's as good as they come, the best. Last night on our 6:30 show, he talked about what went wrong.
Let's put Matt on the hot seat. Let's put Matt on the hot seat.
Sounds like so much fun.
Because there was a graphic that you had. I thought it was such a great graphic. It was just like right before the storm, and you said best case scenario, worst case scenario, most likely scenario.
Right.
And the worst case, I think, wasn't it 3 inches? Something
3
like,
inches, yeah.
Ooh, what happened?
Yeah. So full disclosure, one of Laurel's nicknames in the newsroom is the pit bull on the pant leg of Portland politicians. And right now, she's the pit bull on the pant leg of the Portland prognosticators of weather. Fair, though, fair. That's game. So what happened is this was a very small scale feature, and it stalled. I mean, it literally just stopped moving. Had it kept moving, it would have pulled the heavy snow away with it, and it didn't do that. Even as late as yesterday morning, as I was looking at things, I'm like, okay. Somebody asked me in the morning meeting yesterday, hey, what do you think it'll be doing at like 4 or 5 o'clock? And I'm like, well, by then it's going to be pushing offshore. Might even get some sun breaks by later in the day. And it didn't. And so it just kept snowing.
And the snow just piled up.
Snowing and snowing.
Yeah, how about that? Okay, here's my opinion on all this. First, I think the city and the state need to lean forward even more than they feel like they are now. They should think about quickly shutting down ramps to the freeways and even the freeways themselves. That would let their trucks get out there and spread salt to keep the roadway clear. Yes, that would back up everyone else who's trying to get onto the freeway, but once you got there, it would be clear. Now, as we've seen for many years, it simply does not work to try and squeeze those work trucks out when you have tens of thousands of people trying to get home in a storm. And now that the snow is on the ground, the city needs to keep pushing hard to spread salt and melt what's here before it becomes even more dangerous by freezing even harder than it already is. At the same time, the greater metro area has lots of features that really do make it easy pickings for a storm that wants to turn things upside down. We have these soaring overpasses over downtown that connect our biggest freeways. They're way up there in the air where the wind and the cold can refrigerate them. And they're canted, tipped on the side, which is kind of cool and fun in the summer and super dangerous during a snow and an ice storm. Can the transportation folks do more? Absolutely. But each of us should also take responsibility for ourselves. We should have emergency food and water and blankets in the back of our cars for just such a night as Wednesday. And we should also realize that our area is not like any other place. I know you've come from the East Coast to the Midwest, whatever. I've lived here for 32 years. Before this, I lived in Green Bay, Wisconsin. You may have heard they get a fair bit of snow there. I'll tell you, it's harder driving here in the snow. It just is. So yes, Wednesday was awful. I feel bad for you if you were trapped, especially if you were trapped for hours. That should not happen. But it does, and it happens year after year. So at least do what you can to make it a bit easier on yourself for next time. Well, that's my opinion anyway. What's yours? You don't have to agree with me. Shoot me an email at thestory@kgw.com or call and leave a voicemail, 503-226-5090.